Before Frank Castle became the Punisher and waged his war on crime, there was Cleve Gorman, just a Marine who proved something terrifying. Sometimes the worst monsters wear your own uniform. Cleve Gorman was a United States Marine Gunnery Sergeant and Frank's drill instructor in Parris Island, who had ruled with cruelty and authority that was backed up by an extensive amount of combat experience. He wasn't Frank Castle's enemy after the war, he was Frank Castle's enemy during it, and that matters, because Gorman didn't fight the Punisher, he helped create him. At a training camp between basic and combat deployment, a place the Marines called Big Nothing, a young private, Frank Castle, made a horrible mistake. He simply talked. Castle said the Viet Cong wouldn't stand up to the full force of American troops. Gorman then corrected him, not with words, but with violence. He provoked Castle into lunging, then beat him into the ground. Not to teach, not to train, but to humiliate. This was Castle's first real lesson. Rank protects cruelty. Later, in Cambodia, Gorman commanded Castle's platoon. He put Castle on point, far enough ahead to be isolated, then murdered the rest of the platoon with his associate, Mr. Snow. When Castle returned, Gorman accused him of letting Viet Cong slip through. But Castle noticed something chilling. The weapons weren't enemy issue. They were American. Castle knew the truth, but he stayed silent. Why, you may ask? Well, Maria was pregnant and he wanted to live long enough to go home. And that silence haunted him forever. Gorman and Snow didn't stop at murder. They removed the internal organs of the dead Marines, stuffed their bodies with China white heroin, and then shipped them home in body bags. War crimes, drug trafficking, mass murder, but nothing happened. No court-martial, no justice, just promotion and survival. When Castle's tour ended, he gave up his evac seat to a civilian. Then he tried to board Gorman's helicopter. It was full, not of soldiers, but of Cambodian operatives. Gorman laughed, then shot Castle through the shoulder and knocked him out of the aircraft, left him to die in a collapsing city. Castle survived and filed complaints, but nothing happened. Years later, Cleve Gorman was stationed at Camp Pendleton, now running arms, drugs, and extortion with his old contacts. 2 FBI agents died trying to stop him. One lived long enough to whisper the truth to Frank Castle, and that's when Gorman realized something too late. The soldier, or Marine rather, that he left for dead had come back as the Punisher. Gorman captured Castle, bound him, beat him again, just like he did at Big Nothing, but the Punisher escaped. And when Gorman tried to finish him for good, Castle survived again. Gorman, due to his arrogance, failed to realize that Frank Castle learned how to survive because of him. Their final confrontation came at a black market weapons dump. Castle tricked Gorman into killing his own ally, dressing Mr. Snow in a Punisher outfit and letting Gorman fire a rocket launcher. When Gorman realized his mistake, it was already over. Castle shot him in the shoulder and the knee. Gorman laughed, and he told Castle he'd still be rich when he got out of prison, that Castle would still be nothing. And Frank corrected him. He wasn't Castle anymore. He was the Punisher. And Cleve Gorman died slowly, suffocating on his own blood. Cleve Gorman didn't challenge Frank physically. He corrupted him morally. He showed Castle that authority doesn't mean justice, systems protect monsters, and evil doesn't always come from criminals. Sometimes it comes from men that you're told to trust. And that's why he had to be on the list, because without Cleve Gorman, there is no Punisher. And as we move further down this list, the enemies don't just get stronger, they get closer to the core of what makes the Punisher who he is. This was number 8, and it only gets worse from here. Let me know your thoughts in the comments section, punish that like button, and if you haven't already, please subscribe. The Punisher Mythos is out.